us in India up front, we have Emily Schrader, journalist and political analyst, and we have Mr. Sinijlawi, chairman of the Jerusalem Development Fund. Mr. Sinijlawi, I want to start by asking you, at this point on day 5, doesn't it seem to you that the global opinion is unequivocally against Palestine at this point? Because what has happened to Israel, there is no reasoning, no explanation for it.
Well, I don't agree with you that it is against Palestine. It is against the act of barbarism that has happened. Even most of the Palestinians are against it. But I'll tell you something, wait a little bit, and until the Israeli forces start invading Gaza and the world starts seeing again more and more kids burned under the tanks and the bombarding, then the international community and the international media will say its word against it. People all over the world are sensitive to killing, to the act of killing, to the act of touching innocent human beings. People don't care all over the world if these innocent beings are humans or are Israelis or Palestinians. Me too. I am against any killing of any innocent, whether it is Israeli or Palestinian. Any
100%. In which case, do you not think that there should be an effort
equally
to throw out the Hamas from the Gaza Strip, which is using universities, mosques, and even children's shelters as a cover for their activities? They are the ones exposing Palestinians to Israeli counterstrikes.
Well, Gaza Strip is only 300 square kilometers. It's a very tiny area that is intense populated by 2.5 million Palestinians. It's the most intense populated area all over the world. Where do you want the population to go?
No, the population should stay there. They should throw out the Hamas.
Listen to me.
Why is the Hamas allowed to infiltrate Gaza Strip?
There is no areas for agriculture in Gaza. It is everywhere. It's populated in Gaza. You can't say that Hamas is using it as shelter. Hamas is there, and those who are bombarding it. Hamas is there and the population is there. And
why is Hamas there? Throw out the Hamas. You just said that Hamas should not be confused with the Palestinians.
Listen to me.
The Palestinians should throw out the Hamas.
Those who are bombarding Gaza now, they know for a fact that Hamas is under the ground. And it's only civilians over the ground. They are bombarding civilians. Listen.
Let's start with some clarifications. Let's start with some clarifications. In principle, do we all here agree that the Hamas is a terror outfit?
But we should not give green light to kill and massacre Palestinians in Gaza. Full stop. Because every human being is important. Every 100%. Human being should
except
be
the Hamas.
saved.
Every human life is important, except the Hamas. They are terrorists. But just in principle,
if I now pictures of kids that are buried under the buildings.
Which is terrible. But in principle, sir, I just want a little bit of a clarification to set the rules of engagement here. Are all three of us in agreement that Hamas is a terror outfit?
Of course.
Well, nobody can support terrorism. This is clear. But we should always be sensitive to wherever terrorism happens. What has happened on Saturday?
In fact, I actually agree with that. I agree that we should be sensitive to wherever terrorism happens. The difference here is that the IDF is a state actor. It's not a terrorist organization, and that they're targeting military targets. They're targeting Hamas infrastructure, which unfortunately in some instances is placed in areas that are densely populated civilian areas, including residential buildings, mosques, and schools. All of these have been known to house weapons caches and infrastructure for Hamas. Now, the thing that's very sad here is that I don't know a single Israeli on my side that I've interacted with who wants to see Palestinians dead. We want to get rid of Hamas. And quite frankly, I encourage anyone in Gaza, any Palestinian, to join us in that. We don't want the Palestinians to live under Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization that puts the lives of all of the Palestinians in Gaza at risk. And that's something, quite frankly, that Israel should work with the Palestinians in Gaza on. Unfortunately, what we have seen is that far too many Palestinians on the ground in the Gaza Strip are cheering on what's happening. There are videos of kidnapped children, of elderly being paraded through the streets to cheers of the public. hundreds, if not thousands of Gazans. That's not just the terrorists. Doesn't mean it's everyone, of course not. But there's a lot of people in Gaza who are encouraging and aligned with this behavior. And that is atrocious. And I know that, Samar, you've condemned it and that you are not. But we have to acknowledge that the Palestinians have a problem culturally with the embrace of murdering innocent people. No one in Israel is cheering when there are dead Palestinians, or much less when there are children who die. It's a tragedy. And it breaks my heart as much as it does when Israeli civilians are murdered. But we are not targeting civilians.
Mr. Sinijlawi.